What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Underground Runaround. I'm your host, Brad Ross. I'm here with my co-host, Pav Daddy. What's going on, brother? How are you doing?
I'm doing good now. Shit.
Excellent. Excellent. So we're a week closer to baseball.
We're getting real close, huh?
Yeah.
It's going quick. People don't realize.
Yeah, well, that's just because we get all the free agency stuff going on, too, in the midst of everything. So it's like two things are happening at once instead of like two all kind of separate processes. You know, free agency doesn't bleed over into spring training too much usually. It happens, but not the way it happened this year. It's been fun, but there's been some zero fun. I know I said that poorly, but there's been some teams that have not spent very much money at all this past season or this past off season. The Athletics, according to Jeff Passan, have spent $0 in free agency this off season, and in second is the Guardians with 900,000, and the Reds at 5.5 million, Orioles at 7.9 million, and the Brewers at 12.9 million dollars. So these are teams that just haven't done much at all, and the Reds have dumped a ton of salary elsewhere in trades too. So you know they're spending negative money heading into the next year, and it's going to be interesting because there's some other teams on the opposite side of that spectrum that are spending big bucks, even with the new luxury tax in place. So it's a mess now.
It's pretty insane that you saw like the huge dump offs of payroll for like the A's when they didn't have a payroll. They didn't even have a payroll, so
Right.
It's pretty interesting that they gave up on what they had. I mean, it seems like they're a team that could have spent money and competed in that division.
Yeah, they always usually do, even with what
So
little they do spend. So I agree, but maybe they have to internally feel like they're at the point in their core's life cycle that if they don't move these players now, they're not going to get the talent to replenish their minor leagues that they feel that they should be able to get out of these players, before they're worth nothing to where they're just big contracts that don't produce. So that's the only thing that I can think of that makes sense to me now. Whether that's where they were, I don't know. But maybe they just think the A's or the Angels are getting too good. Maybe they think the competition's getting too good for them to compete too. There's a few different ways you could look at it, but yeah, they blew it up. It's
where are the Brewers sitting on payroll? Do you have the numbers up there?
I do not know, but I can try and pull it up.
I'm kind of surprised that they didn't make any kind of move. Like the NL Central's pretty winnable division.
Okay,
I
I
would
got it up.
think.
You said the Brewers?
Yeah.
They will be 16th at 116 million. They're just two places behind the Cubs. The Cubs are 14th,
Yeah.
130 million.
Yeah.
The
It's
Dodgers,
pretty.
the Dodgers are $273 million payroll this upcoming season. What's the luxury tax? Do you remember? Was it 230 or 240? They agreed on.
They 240, right? They bumped it.
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah. So that puts them and the Mets. The Mets are at 251 million. The Yankees are in third at 239, just under. Phillies fourth. And then
What do you think about the Mets?
they're a mess. I don't know. They're a mess, but they could be fucking just dangerous.
If everybody just if I feel like
No,
they're
it's
the
it's if DeGrom and Scherzer make 64 starts, that's 40% of your season. You don't have to worry about. You don't even have to worry about it. It doesn't matter. You're gonna win all of those games. You're just going to.
oh man.
And then if you get two other guys to throw a quality start every other start, you don't have to worry about anything for the whole year. I mean, they're in such a good position from the pitching perspective. But if DeGrom's forearm fucks with them all year and who knows what else? That guy's a freak of nature. Every year he throws harder and harder as he's starting to age. He keeps throwing, his velocity keeps going up year over year.
I saw they were able to get Alonzo pretty cheap in arbitration. I would think 7.5 million.
Yeah, that's so cheap for a guy that has as much power as he does.
Yeah, he could have a big. You need him. As they really need the hitters to step up, right? I mean,
Well, Lindor has just killed him. Lindor has absolutely killed him. He's got to get right. I assume I would just think based on his track record, he's gonna come back and at least hit 260 or 270. But if he only does that, then he's got to provide some power too. So if they're paying him a ton of money, that should be like a no-brainer that that's gonna happen. And here we are talking about it. So it's not the best, but so we said the Dodgers are at 273 million, 273 and a half. Last place, the team that spends the least amount of money is at $30,366,000. Guess what team? Do you have a guess?
the has the lowest payroll
Yeah.
at 30 million right now.
Yeah, there's 3 teams in the 30 million range.
Um, is it Cincinnati right now? No, it's got to be. It's got to be Oakland.
Nope. Oakland isn't even bottom 3.
Jesus,
They're 27th, so they're fourth from the
the
bottom.
Pirates.
The Pirates are 29th at 35 million.
Oh Jesus. Oh man, who's got the lowest payroll?
The Baltimore Orioles
Ooh,
at 30 million.
yeah.
Just nothing. At nothing. And then the Guardians are 28th with $37 million on the books.
That's a really tough situation to be in as an Orioles fan.
It's blatantly obvious. Here's the problem. If you look at the Guardians at 28th with 37 million spent, you go up 2 spots to Miami, they're at 67 million. So they're almost double in just 2 spots. So those bottom 4 teams, it's obvious what they're doing. You know, they're doing nothing. Nothing at all. Like the Rays are 24th with 76 million, and that's a team that wins all the time, but that's what it costs. You're doing nothing.
This is why they made Major League, the movies Major League, right?
Yeah.
This is the Guardians team that those movies were made about.
It's ridiculous.
Terrible.
It's happening right before our very eyes.
I'm telling you, I don't care for a salary cap. I let teams spend as much as they want, but I think there really should be a floor set.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the floor thing. I don't know, but there needs to be something because the luxury tax isn't like steep enough to deter people from going over it if they want. And I mean, whatever. But if you want a balanced or if you want a fair playing field, you have to do something because this is clearly unfair. But baseball's a game where anything can happen, so it doesn't get played on paper. That's why I'm not big into analytics. You have to go play the game. Or
You
otherwise,
think the players would really push for a floor? I think it would affect, overall pays more than.
I think the owners would hate a floor.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I don't know if the players would want it. I don't know. Cuz that would probably change the minimum pay too.
It would help a lot. Yeah.
Because what's major league minimum now?
700.
So if you have a 25 man, it's a 26 man roster now. when everything's right.
28 for.
Yeah, I know, but until okay, so we'll go. So we'll go 28. So just
It seems so strange to me that they
yeah,
changed the rules right
but
before the
I know.
season
Just
starts.
listen to this though.
Whatever.
Listen to this. If everyone on the Orioles made the major league minimum at
Right.
700,000, their payroll would still be 19.6 million, and it's only
Right.
at 30 million.
Yeah.
They're playing with nobody. They're playing
Yeah.
with absolutely
So
nobody.
it means one player at 11 million would put you right at right at $30 million.
But they don't have like the Orioles are probably making their players pay for fucking sodas in the clubhouse and shit. And none of them are
Oh my
making
gosh.
any type of real professional money.
Yeah, I wonder what like their what's their attendance.
Oh, I have some customers that are big time Orioles fans too. They go to the games. They buy like ticket packages. It's so much. They get parking too. It's so much cheaper than Wrigley. Good seats for not very much money, and you get to see the best baseball players in the world. Like, damn, I gotta go check that place out. Plus, I always want to see that field. I mean, obviously, I want to see all the fields. But where are they at on attendance? Do you know?
My internet's really slow. You have to bear with me for about. I feel like I'm on fucking dial up, dude.
That's all right though. Your
It's-
video's not messed up. Your audio's been good, so we're all good here on the.
Baltimore averages 10,000 per game
That's really low.
last year.
Oh well, last year doesn't really count because it wasn't full capacity all year.
Okay.
You have to look at like 19 if you could
Okay.
find the
Yeah,
attendance.
I can. I can do it.
I'd accept 19 as a
All right.
comparison.
All right. Here we go.
Yes, I'll think about this. Let's think on it. And like we said, guys, there if everyone on the roster made the minimum, it would be a $20 million payroll, and the Orioles are only at
Baltimore
30 million.
16,000. They're third to the bottom.
Okay, so they're not even at the bottom.
No, Baltimore, Tampa Bay, Miami. Your bottom three.
Where's the White Sox?
23rd, 21,000 per game.
Man, that's got to be a lot of season tickets that don't go. That stadium is always empty.
Yeah.
Empty. Except for when it's like a trendy time to go to a baseball game. Like a holiday or I don't know, when it's stumbling over myself cuz I don't know how to say it the right way. They're like Dodger fans. They show up in the third inning and leave in the seventh, you know.
Yeah, Dodgers actually had number one attendance.
Of course they did.
St. Louis,
Yeah, well that's all they have now.
Yankees.
If St. Louis people don't support their pro sports now, oh my goodness, they already lost the football. Oh, they got the hockey team still, but they can't afford to be losing teams. What does that say for your city when you lose a professional sports team? That's gotta suck.
The Angels have good attendance. Why
Especially
don't
if
they
that's all
spend
you
more
got.
money?
I don't know where they at on attendance.
They're fifth, man.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
they do spend money though.
Colorado.
The Angels. Let's see where they're at on payroll.
You need to put these. You need to put these in side by side with payrolls.
The Angels are ninth in payroll, 168 million.
Okay,
They're spending.
they should be spending 200.
Where they
Mike
at?
Trout deserves to win a World Series.
Oh my gosh, they're putting pieces together. Joe Adell's hitting this spring. Uh, but if Otani is healthy, Rendon is healthy, if Trout's healthy, I mean they started putting pieces together. They
What
got
the fuck with Rendon, dude?
I don't know. He won his World Series, got paid, and he's been fucking around ever since.
Yeah.
Absolutely fucking around. Just about the time his rookie cards were gonna start gaining some value, he shits the bed again. And
That's where you need Mike Trout to really. I don't know. I obviously we don't know what the hell he's like in the locker room, but that's where you need him to really start pushing those type of guys. Like, hey, dude, I want mine too. You know, you were brought here. I asked these people to bring, some players. You're one of them. How about you
yeah,
step it up
yeah,
and
fucking
let's win?
perform, dude. Yeah, this ain't the Pujols treatment part two. Like,
No shit.
we gotta play. That's the other problem. The Angels are almost too willing to spend money, and they get burned. And that
They
might be,
got burned on Pujols, that's for
yeah,
sure.
and they might be getting burned on Rendon.
Oh man.
So I don't know. Here's the other thing: when if and when Otani ever gets to free agency, does he get to negotiate double player salary? Does he get to negotiate a $60 million a year contract, or is that when enough is enough?
If he keeps up,
Like, hey, I
right?
hit 40 bombs and I pitched 25, 20
If
innings
he
a year.
does that, if he continues to do that, and that's like every year thing,
Like,
right?
what will
Then
teams pay for him?
anything,
But will we ever see it?
anything. Yeah. They're making the Otani rule.
No, but
You
I mean,
saw that,
like,
right?
how much service time does he have? He has 4 years, Google says. So that means in 3 years, he'll be a free agent. So 22, 23. So at the end of 24, he would be a free agent. Or
At
is it just his
after
contract?
next year. After next year, dude. It looks like. So after 2023,
Oh, dang.
he's
Yeah.
only he's only making 5.5 million.
Yeah. Suzuki got paid more than he did, I believe.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
whew.
Suzuki was the biggest
Yeah.
international batter contract, Japanese contract for a position player. I think Yankees pitcher Masahiro Tanaka was a bigger contract.
Man, they brought Otani over so young. You don't see that really from Japan. So it's going to be interesting to see. This is the year. If he can do it again, then obviously he'll be worth a ton of money. Yeah, 50 million a year, right?
Right, right. What will teams just be trying to throw at him?
At least 50 million a year.
That'd be
He's
insane.
he's worth he's worth close to 40 million as a hitter, right? So I mean, as a pitcher, he's got to be worth. Yeah. Yep. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that'll be great to watch that unfold if he continues doing what he's doing. I would like to see him not fall off so bad in the second half. But I mean, I said that all summer last summer because he was doing too much. He was killing it, and then he did the home run derby and he started the All Star game. Like, he didn't rest at all while players are resting up in the middle of the season, coming off of a shortened season previous to that and injuries before that. He's never really played a long season in a long time since we've seen him. I mean, in 18 when he came over, he did DH down the stretch a little bit more after his UCL problem, but 19 he did the rehab and didn't play that season. 20 was shortened. 21 he's on fire, does too much during the All-Star break. I think, and it's not my place to say. My opinion is that I think he should have rested up, and he struggled down the stretch, so he hung on to the MVP award if you ask me. But I don't know. I think Vladdy Jr., I get the pitching and hitting thing, but
Vladdy has to do it this year. You got so much help now, like all this around you. It's
I
time
think
to.
so. Here's the other argument I've been hearing is that the Blue Jays lineup is better than the Dodgers lineup, and I don't see any way on planet Earth that's even a topic of conversation. But maybe I'm just underselling some of these guys. I think I think it's not even a conversation to have. The Dodgers lineup's so far superior to the Blue Jays lineup.
There are some really good lineups right now. The Braves lineup is a good lineup, dude.
Yeah, people think they're dead, and it's like no, they're not.
The Braves lineup is good. The Red Sox lineup is good.
Oh yeah, Red Sox infield all hit 25 or more home runs last year.
Dude, I there are some really good
I
lineups
saw
put
somebody
together
talking
right
trash
now.
on the Red Sox. They're like, "Oh, the Red Sox are rebuilding this year." Like a Red Sox fan throwing a fit. I'm like, "Kid, what are you talking about? Do you even know what a baseball is?" Like, holy shit.
They just added Trevor Story.
Right, right.
And he's gonna play second
And he
base.
agreed, right.
And he's a right-handed power hitter, and you got a fucking green monster. He's gonna have no problem. Dude, 30, 35 home runs from Trevor Story this year
Not
in Boston.
unreasonable. Yeah.
That's like a really nice park for him because he hits high home runs. So like, I don't know, man. I think that's a good signing for them, and he's easy. Says, yeah, I'll slide over, play second base.
Yep.
Bogart's got shortstop. That's cool. And Trevor Story was fucking a good shortstop. So
Yeah.
whatever, dude. I like it. I think it's a fucking nice deal.
Plus, he thinks he can win there. I mean, they got Bobby Dahlbeck's young and upcoming, and he's really good.
And he's
You got
probably
and
the
you have
hottest hitter in spring training right now. Obviously, there's fucking no sample size, right?
right.
But
Sample
like
size is extremely small.
Devers is a stud.
But I was gonna say, yeah, and they have Devers, who's still incredibly young, like super young. I
Yeah,
don't think Devers is more than 24 years old. I could be wrong. He's super young. So you have those guys, and Story comes in there, and then you still have JD Martinez, and you got Vasquez catching, and you got some defensive wizards in the outfield to round out your lineup. What the hell's not to like with that? That's a fantastic fucking lineup.
yeah,
That's a
that's
scary
pretty
team.
funny, ain't it?
Yeah, and there's people complaining about it. Like, holy cow, have you seen what the Orioles bring to the table? Yeah, they're like
Yeah,
in your
that's the
division.
thing is like, right, you have to win those games. Man,
Have to.
what a
Absolutely.
fucking. Could you imagine playing for that team right now for the Orioles? Like, could you imagine being like a
I
Cy
wonder
Young
I
quality
wonder if they
pitcher?
even feed their players like before the game or anything like that.
Just you end the season with like a 2.30 ERA and you're like 5-15.
Just terrible,
Felix Hernandez, right? With the Mariners for so long,
huh?
when they were fucking awful and he was a stud.
Yeah. Loyal, that poor bastard. Loyal to a
Dude,
fault.
just just putting up stupid numbers in the AL, whatever.
And they were quick to get rid of him cuz I don't think he was ready to be done.
No,
But
I
but I think they just kind of set him off to the side like, "Sorry, buddy, we're not offering you a contract. We love you. Thanks for hanging out with us."
yeah, he's one of those guys that you feel legitimately bad for, like his historical stats,
Oh, I'm sure
just
they're
because
yeah,
of,
what are they? I don't even know what they are. Let's hear it. I want to hear it.
oh
I
my
need to
gosh,
know.
169 and 136
Wow.
with 2,500 strikeouts.
Whew.
A 3.42 career ERA, all AL.
Yeah.
So I mean,
And it got bad at the end for him though, didn't it? Like his numbers,
The last 3 years, yeah.
they were not pretty. So that
No,
career ERA is a little inflated, and that's still a ridiculous career ERA 3.42 with 2,500
yeah.
strikeouts.
Led the league in ERA twice.
Yeah,
Led the league in wins once.
an absolute
One Cy
stud.
Young Award. Is he a Hall of Famer?
Let me ask you the question. Give me that stupid metrics number. The WAR. What's his WAR?
50.
Oh yeah, he's a Hall of Famer.
It's
It's tough, dude. We've already done a whole episode on how the Hall of Fame's a joke, so I feel like I can say anything I want in terms of who's a Hall of
I
Famer
feel like
if I
too,
like him
like if
enough.
he was on a good team, that like obviously he was the guy that Seattle's like, yeah, dude, go out there and fucking win us a game. We suck. We need to win a fucking game, dude. And he'd just go out there and throw his fucking arm out and get you wins. And like if you were on a team, you look at like Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavin, and they had that fucking trio, you could have a shitty game. It doesn't matter. You got two bad motherfuckers coming right behind you, you
Right.
know? So, like, when you're the only guy, he's throwing 230 innings when guys are throwing 190. So he led the league. Look, he had two. Dude, that poor motherfucker. 200, 238, 249, 233, 232, 204, 236, 201. I'll bet in that run from '08 to fucking 15, so 8 years. I'll bet in that 8 year run, he probably led the majors in innings pitched. I'll bet he's like right there at the top, dude.
Yeah.
Just just getting fucking annihilated.
Yeah. That and the Mets rotation is legit. I forgot they had Taiwan Walker, and that guy's ridiculous. He's been such an under the radar pitcher. He broke in with the Mariners, I believe, and he's only 29. Career 3.52 ERA. I mean, obviously that doesn't tell the whole story, but that's just the quick numbers they give me to look at. And he's still 29. That could be a guy they've forgotten about, and he could be one hell of a third pitcher in a rotation because he's just done well when he's been healthy to pitch. And with DeGrom and
They
Scherzer, oh my goodness, DeGrom and
they're gonna
Scherzer,
need it.
that's ridiculous. All they need is one guy. If they had a third guy that gets them 15, 20 quality starts, oh my goodness.
That's the thing with them. If it
They
doesn't
could
happen,
they could run
people are gonna be
potatoes
like,
out
"What
there
the
for the
fuck?"
fourth and fifth starter. They could literally bring out a fucking 40-year-old men's beer league guy to be their fourth and fifth starting pitcher and still make the playoffs if they got
Oh,
that.
they got Chris Bassett as the number 3, huh?
Oh, I forgot they even got him.
Yeah, he had a good season last year.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he did for the A's, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, look at that. I forgot about. Oh yeah, it's over. If he does okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's ridiculous. The Mets.
dude, you want to talk? He's a guy they need him to what they
But
pay him.
here's the problem. They're the Mets, and half of those dudes are going to be hurt.
Yeah,
I mean, I hate to say it, but that's just what it's
you
going to
know
be.
what'll happen the fucking first week. Some bullshit.
Yeah.
Dude, you liked Syndergaard. That's my
Yeah, the
fair with
Angels picked him
Syndergaard.
up.
Yeah,
I wanted the Cubs to sign him, and they're like, we're not going to we're going to spend money intelligently. You couldn't have signed him for 1 year? That's what the Angels did. Damn. I'd go sign out for 1 year to go play with Mike Trout, too, though. And Otani and all them. Fuck yeah. I'd
yeah.
take a pay cut. Like, they could have a natural super team over there. Great weather. They're in California. Got
I,
got the best ball
it's
players on
insane.
earth. They clearly have the money to spend. And if the best free agents want to be like, hey, they're offering us 10, we'll come play for you for 6. Like, what's up?
Surprised me that they didn't sign somebody like Scherzer there.
Scherzer
You
got a
sign somebody
bazillion
like that.
dollars though, right? Scherzer
Yeah,
got
but I
that.
mean,
Oh my, he got so much money. That's a lot of
he's
money,
good,
dude.
dude.
If he's hurt for
He's
any amount
so
of time,
consistent.
I know,
Gosh,
he's a workhorse.
gosh, dude.
But if he's hurt for any amount of time, though, god damn,
I think that could have carried,
he makes more money than the Orioles, Pirates, and the Guardians. That's how fucked up it is. He makes
yeah,
more money than what's he getting? 40 million, right?
40, 43.
So he makes more money than 4 teams,
Yeah.
4 whole entire teams. He's making more money, just one player. That's amazing. Yeah, Otani's gonna get 50 million for sure. If Scherzer's getting 43, Otani's gonna get 50 to 60 million dollars a season. That's insane.
It'll be interesting because you look at Scherzer the last 3 years. Obviously, 20 was like a break, right? But he threw 172 and 179 innings, and he was a guy that carried 220 for all those years. So for that kind of money, you'd really like him to get those 33 starts. If you're paying him, I guess you're paying him fucking 1.5 million a start.
Mm, better get the W.
How that's I guess when you that's what Moneyball's about, right? The buying wins, right?
Yeah.
So like when you think about somebody like Scherzer, he's got to win every one of those starts, and you're paying him $1.5 million to get you 30 wins per win, and man, it's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Me either. More power to them though. They got the money to spend. Fuck. At least they're spending it. I can commend them. I would want my team to spend that much money too. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about
Yeah.
it. So
If the Cubs were in
if
like
if it's a legal thing to do and you can do it and it's fair game to do, which it is, I would want the Cubs to spend double what they're spending right now and match the Dodgers. They only spend half of what the Dodgers spend and they're 14th in payroll. Yeah, double it up. Let's go. Let's go. So let's see. That's
yeah.
130 million. They could sign 4 guys, at 33 million.
And this is where the problem comes with those things, right? So, are there players that should be making $30 million a year that aren't making $30 million a year? How do you get those players to your team if they're not already making that much money? So, like the idea that okay, the Cubs need to spend more money, or any of these other teams, right? The teams that have $30 million payroll. Part of having teams that have $30 million payroll is where are the free agents that they should sign to increase their payroll. So, like it's I guess that's an issue in its own. That are there not the quality of players? Are there only this many? That is this really where the top end is? So
Right.
I understand like the younger guys need to start making more money per year, but they need to shorten. They need guys to become free agents sooner. If you want the talent pool to be more evenly dispersed, guys have to become free agents sooner, and then those teams could spend money buying guys that are younger and can affect their team for more years. So and then we would get away from these guys being fucking 27-year-old rookies And that's when we find out that they're a good player because they got stuck in the minors, So I think that's something that they're going to have to really push on is shortening up that the rookie contracts. You're going to have to do something there.
I would love to see it, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. I would love to see it, but
Then
just
we'll
because,
always have that disparity
yeah,
in the payrolls because you're only have this many guys making that much money.
that's why I say it should be from like the time you're taken in. So like the time you're drafted or the time you're signed for the first time, not your major league service time. It should be the time you're with that organization. Period. Because what you do in that organization isn't necessarily in your control. So like just because if you want to be in the big leagues and you're good enough to be in the big leagues, you could not be in the big leagues. They could be keeping you in the minor leagues against your own will, so to speak. Not that it happens very often, but it can happen. So I would like for it to change and just
I think we'll end up seeing a lot more of these short contracts too as a result because it will allow guys to get a higher average annual value versus taking a 10-year contract when they haven't it allows them to fucking go out and have a really good year and get paid for 3 years, and then if they're still good within that 3 years get paid again for another good 3 years.
sure.
And so, like, especially like you look at like Correa, the way his deal was done, he's that really leaves him open. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
he,
correct.
he
That's a
could take a
genius
5 year
deal.
deal. He could take a 5 year deal after this with a 3 year opt out and get big fucking money again
It's a
and do it
genius
again
deal.
after
Yeah,
that.
because he gets an opt out after this year if he wants.
Right.
All he has to do is go hit 40 home runs and later
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Make 40 million next
Right.
year. If
Right.
he's an MVP, all of a sudden he can go out and say, okay, now I want 40 million. So I want 120 million over 3 years, and I want an opt out after 2 years again, and go do it again. So I think you'll start seeing guys do stuff like that where when they don't think, because that's the advantage that the pitchers have. If they're a guy like Verlander and Scherzer and stuff, where they get that age and they're still really good, they can get paid very well for those single years of use.
Yep.
Whereas like the hitters, you don't see it as much because you have such a fast drop off from their prime numbers to those older years, unless you're Nelson Cruz.
Nelson, baby. Nelson. I love it. I love it though when you see those guys who age gracefully though, because you don't see it very
Yeah.
often. Most guys fall off a fucking cliff or just disappear off planet Earth, and they leave faster than they came. And it's like, wow, so many good players. You're like, what happened to them? Oh, they're gone now. They've been replaced. They just the pieces stopped fitting one day, and that was a wrap.
You okay over there?
I'm great.
Yeah, it's wild. I that's my takeaway from the current CBA is that we're going to start seeing uh, a lot more 3 year contracts versus the 10 year stuff. That's going to become a lot more rare, I think.
Sure, I'm sure players are still going to take long deals though. Some people might value that over all else, but yeah, yeah, players that aren't going to be happy with like the current situation of the free agent market, like in terms of what the top players make, if they know they're good enough to play the year after year game, like fuck it. I don't want this 1 year deal. I want this 3 year deal with the opt outs built into it. So then I have my security blanket in case I need it, in case I have a bad year or I get hurt or whatever. Because that's the bad part of the short deal is even if you get hurt, something weird, like something not even bad, like maybe you break your foot or something, and you're just out for an extended period of time, well, that's going to kill you trying to get your next little short contract. So it's a game, they got to play it. And now they're going to have to play that game a little bit more. But just like you said, I want to see them become free agents earlier too, because it would make things I agree. I think it would help balance the talent pool, but that's only for us as observers. For the organizations, the way they see it is they've built those talent pools and they've had the same tools to build those talent pools with, so they're like, hey, why should we have to sacrifice what we've built up on our end in order to make everything fair for everybody else? But if they're all playing by the same rules, I don't know, man. It's so tricky. That's why I don't know what you do about it, because I can see the reasons for and the reasons against, and what I want and why the people that are in those positions would not want to do it. As a fan, I think I'd love to see it to balance the shit out, but I don't think we'll ever see it, especially not after the last CBA.
The Dodgers and the Red Sox are both paying David Price $16 million this year, each, for a total of $32 million.
That's fantastic. I think Ken Griffey Jr. is getting paid a large amount of money by the Reds. I think it's like 3.8 million, something like that. He's one of the top guys on the Reds payroll this year,
Jesus.
as part of some deferment when they traded him to the White Sox.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's some wild things going on in these regards. And the Reds are only 21st in payroll at 91 million.
Yeah, I think they're going to have a rough year. But who knows?
They still have some good bats, man. The Reds still have some tools. They got rid of some tools, but they still have some tools. And I haven't dug in thoroughly to their lineup, but I know that they still got some things going on.
Yeah. I don't I think the NL Central's gonna be a rough fucking year. We'll see, man.
Cardinals and the Brewers are still going to be good, So Cubs are going to be very dependent on whatever their pitching does. I think they might be able to score enough runs, especially if Suzuki can hit 25, 30 home runs. I really hope so.
We're fucking praying. That's
Yeah.
that's all we. I listen. The thing that I like about the Cubs, and we've talked about this, is they have, for the first time in forever, they have legitimate starting pitching prospects that throw hard. And it's been a long time since we've had any kind of real starting pitching prospects. And that's the thing. Like, people can say whatever they want about the deals that were made for Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez, but the Cubs did really well in those deals. And like in their top, freaking 30 prospects, a lot of those guys were just signed in the last year and a half, so we're gonna have to watch some fucking bad baseball, just like just like a lot of. I look. The reality is that baseball is a game that can be won by anybody on any day, and you have teams that are fucking stacked, and if they don't perform well, people will look at those teams a lot worse than if they look at our teams not performing well.
Yeah.
So it just it really, because like you said,
But not
if
our team, though. We're going to take shit
right,
regardless because the Cubs are who they are. It's not
always right. It's like the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers. All those teams always
right.
fucking take a lot
But
of
yeah,
hate.
the Dodgers are spending so much money.
spending so much money, dude.
So
They
much,
have
all
to
the
win.
money.
If they don't win, whatever. How many championships they got? They got one in fucking the shortened season. Oh, big whoop. I hope that feels good. You got yours in the fucking season that didn't matter for anybody.
That doesn't count. Yeah.
Fucking Dodgers fans, I hope you can beat me up, but it's true. It's fucking true. You got this team that you've had. How many years in a row have the Dodgers had like the top fucking payroll, dude? They've been right in the top for what, the last 10 years? Win a fucking playoff game. Clayton Kershaw,
Kershaw.
Jesus.
It's Kershaw.
Whatever, man.
It sucks now because they got that fucking stud Walker Bueller, and I love that guy. But
Stud,
you
dude.
can't love the Dodgers. They're like the Yankees of the West Coast, you know.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But Walker
Yeah.
Bueller, oh my
Now,
goodness, how good is that guy?
I think we're getting into we're gonna start getting into it's interesting because the way that analytics has went the last few years, we've gotten into a sort of a golden age with pitching as well as home run hitting. So like you have more guys across the league hitting 20 to 25 home runs than we've basically ever seen.
Right.
And now you have, with that and the increase in strikeout numbers and everything, you have a lot of really good young pitching that's being, because they can throw a fastball and a changeup. It's like, dude, just go out there and throw fucking hard and then throw a changeup, mix in a slider here and there, and you can win some baseball games. So
You're gonna
I
strike
mean,
them out, or they're gonna hit a home run off you. But either way, you
that's
know.
it. That's it. So like we're seeing a lot of really good young pitchers. Kind of these guys they slip under the radar where you don't even notice, and it's like all of a sudden here's this guy who's pretty fucking good. It's going to be an interesting next decade, really, to see how this affects people's like numbers going down the line. We're going to start seeing the innings drop like crazy. With the starting pitchers over the last so many years, we've seen all these guys where they just come in and pitch 5 innings and that's it. And it doesn't matter how good of a starting pitcher they are. They pitch for 5 innings, 5, 6 innings. See you later. We're going into
I
our
hate an
relievers.
opener too. Oh, the fucking opener. Now that's gonna be a thing. I don't. Oh,
It's pretty interesting, like how this
guy who
will
starts the game pitches for an inning. What the fuck is that,
yeah,
Pav? What the
they
fuck is
dude.
who decided that after however long baseball's been being played, that they just had to change the fucking way the game was played, and just put an opener out there. Oh hey, just go out there till fucking Joe over here gets loose because he was taking a shit too long before the. You know what? What the fuck is that? An opener. What is an opener? It's the dumbest shit I've ever heard of in my entire life. I can't stand it. You're going to have a guy that pitches an amount of innings anyway. Lead with them. Like, what is that? An opener.
I think it's gotten to a point where the analytics is so deep that like you get a lack of the ability to have starters that can win a lot of games and pitch a lot of innings, and just because teams know what the fuck you're going to throw to them, and if you can get beat up by any team out there now because they know, okay, you're going to throw this guy, fastballs up, and this fucking umpire doesn't call them. So everybody's going to go up there that day and watch you fucking walk 5 guys straight. And it's just gotten so wild with how much they're pushing that stuff. So it's going to be, we're going to keep seeing fucking small changes, I think. Just like as the as Major League Baseball and the Players Association tries to adjust and keep games entertaining, because I think they were going to get to a point where it was going to get where you're going to see a lot of games that were fucking 2-1, where it's like, okay, this team hit 2 solo home runs and this team hit 1 solo home run, just the way the game was going.
Oh yeah,
So
sure, sure, no doubt. I agree. It's fucking boring when that's all that's happening.
and
But
it's not a pitcher's duel, right? It's
that's
not this
right.
fucking
It's not a
starting
pitcher's
pitcher
duel.
is
Right.
throwing a complete game where it's 2-1. He got out of the game in the 6th fucking inning. You know,
Right.
he gave up one of those home runs, and then you brought in these relievers to throw 7, 8, 9, and they gave up a home run. That's where the 2 runs came from. So it's a different game, and
Right.
it's not the most enjoyable thing. It became too much of just a straight chess match, right?
Yep. Yep.
Instead of
Yep.
being
100%.
so I like, because
Instead of it being
no,
my horse to
yeah,
beat your horse type of management
yeah.
game,
Who
like
who the fuck watches chess? You know, people watch football because they want to see touchdowns. People watch basketball because they want to see fucking 100 points on the scoreboard. So baseball is not that much different in terms of people would rather you have more enjoyment at a game that you attend when your team scores fucking 10 runs. And if your pitchers give up 5 runs in the process, you're still gonna enjoy that fucking game. You just won 10-5.
it's gonna be a
So,
long ass game though. ten to
it's gonna
five.
be a long ass game.
Oh yeah, I love it. The longer the game for me, the better.
As long
On
as it's
game day,
entertaining, dude.
at game day, I don't have nowhere to be. Where am I supposed to be? I'm at the ballpark. Leave me alone. Where's the hot dog? Beer here. Beer here.
Yeah, I think they were getting a little bass backwards with the idea that of the game needs to be shorter, needs to be shorter, needs to be shorter. Listen, the only way you're going to get shorter games is with less runs, less action, and guys just fucking running on a pitch clock, right? You got 2 Mark Burleys fucking facing each other. Well, nobody wants to watch 2 fucking Mark Burleys face each other every game of the year, So you're like I said, most people would rather have a game full of hitting and lots of action going on. So it's going to be different to see all the different fucking changes they make. Like obviously we were saying they decided to implement some of the rules that we saw previously and some new stuff out of nowhere. That was kind of sudden,
Yeah.
huh?
Yeah, well, though I knew they were talking about having expanded rosters because the spring not being very long, and they were worried about the pitcher injuries with the pitchers not having the time they're accustomed to get stretched out and ready to go for the regular season. And on top of that, so they approved that, and they said, yeah, we'll go to 28-man rosters, and that's only for April. But along with that, we're putting this has got to be the fucking I don't know. I don't know where this comes from, but then they said they're putting the runner back on second base in extra innings.
I don't get it.
So I'm not. It's not the ghost runner rule because it's not a fucking ghost runner. But in extra innings, the batting team will start the inning with a runner on second base. So out of nowhere, here we are back with that again.
It's weird. They just claim that because of the short spring training, they want players to play less. They don't want games running long, but come on. How many fucking games really run that long?
Yeah, I don't know. It's not like they could do a shootout like you do in hockey. I feel like a shootout in hockey is very fair. I think that is a
Yeah.
very fair way
And
to
it's entertaining as
to
fuck.
decide a game, and it's fucking dramatic as all hell. It's absolutely 3 to 5 minutes of like absolute drama. A shootout.
Yeah,
in
whether
hockey.
they score or don't score, both of them are really fucking, you know.
But like that's a fair. You played your 3 periods, you played your overtime, and you still haven't figured out a winner. Like, let's decide it with with the shootout. Baseball, I don't know if there's a way you could do that. And I don't like putting that runner on second base because you didn't earn it. Like what, that runner just fucking is there all of a sudden. That's why they call it the ghost runner, because no one did anything to put him there, but here he is. Like, hey guys, but he's not a ghost. He's real and he counts and he shouldn't count. And they didn't even know how to put this on the official score for the pitching when it started, because who's getting charged with that run? Because the guy who
Yeah,
was on the mound when that run scored didn't put him on base. You know,
ridiculous.
like you fucked up your whole scoring system because of this stupid ass rule, and now we're gonna continue with it to keep games short.
Yeah, they charge it to the pitcher that's on the mound, right? That starts the
Yeah, it's
inning.
just
They
not an
just put it
earned
as
run or
unearned.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, that's fucking stupid.
so dumb.
Why don't they just bat a guy on second to start the extra innings, and everybody has to bat opposite handed. No switch hitters. They have to exit the game. So
And
all
if
the
you
right
can't
handers bat
replace the switch
lefty, all the
hitters,
lefties bat right.
then you just have to forfeit.
You have to
anyways.
forfeit. Yep. So
Because
you
the
have
pitchers
to.
can't hit now that we have the universal DH.
Right.
Because they're pitchers and they technically are not classified to use a bat, and they need to take a 10-hour safety course now in order to ever use a bat again, and it has to be approved by Major League Baseball.
Are you? No fucking shit. Did you see? So this is the Otani rule, right?
I'm just fucking around, but
that's
yeah,
part of the new thing.
that's the third change. Yes, the Otani
So the
rule.
pitchers can bat.
Yeah,
and they can stay in the game as a hitter.
If the starting pitcher is batting that day as the DH, he stays the DH even if he comes out of the pitching spot. Which is why I hate it even more. I understand it, but this is why I hate the universal DH. What does a manager have to do in a fucking game anymore? He has no decisions to make.
Nothing.
He has absolutely no. All he has to do is be able to get along with the guys in the clubhouse. Because he doesn't have to do shit during the game now. He doesn't have to make a double switch because this guy come out there and laid an egg and he needs innings out of the first dude out of the bullpen. He doesn't have to fucking pinch hit and then leave that guy, let him stay in the game and get some innings and do this and that and give so-and-so a rest. And they don't have to do anything. And now, if you have your pitcher hit and you replace the DH spot, now that pitcher spot's not back in the lineup because you have a universal DH. That's why they did it, or that's the rule. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be a universal DH, really. If you pinch hit for the DH spot and then the pitcher was in that spot, like the rule book used to say, then if you had a universal DH, that should never happen. So they had to get rid of that rule. Because it's universal DH where the pitcher doesn't hit anymore. I know pitchers don't hit. Not all of them. Some do. And we'll never know who will. But there was a strategy element to the game that included trying to lay a bunt down, which we don't see anymore. Because home runs. And I'm not saying home runs suck. Gone. But small ball is fun too. Fundamental baseball is fun. You should be able to score a run if you get a guy on first base with no outs. Or like give yourself a good opportunity to score a run. You know, you get a guy on, you bunt them over, or you know, maybe he steals a base for you. He steals second, then you bunt him over to third. You got a guy on third base with one out. But instead of that being like a sure run, the next two dudes might strike out in today's game of baseball. That's what's, so it's just all the data and the studying of the shit. And they're like, hitting the home run is the best thing. Statistically, this is how we do it the best. Pitchers are like, striking the guys out are the best thing. This is statistically how do we do it the best. And here we are. Thank you, nerds. Thank you. Where do we go from here? Where the fuck do we go from here? The Yankees letter. Remember that thing? You ever remember about that?
The Yankees are cheaters?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No.
Not them. Not the Yankees.
Couldn't.
27 rings? No.
Take them all away. Really piss off the Yankees fans.
Oh, fucking Steinbrenner would be fucking just rolling over. He might even rise from the dead. You never
Oh
know
my
with them
gosh.
Yankees. He might get the power of 27 rings and oof. The fuck's going on? Uh, yeah. So the Yankees letter. Remember they said this was a few years ago. They said open that bitch up, and then they filed some motion to get it sealed up again, and they never had to say what it was. But now it's coming. It's coming. It's not out yet. Let me find the article. Court rules 2017 letter from Rob Manfred. So this letter that we don't know about is from Rob Manfred to the Yankees regarding sign stealing. And yet he didn't punish the Astros. And he clearly knows the Yankees did something. And it was bad enough that this letter needs to be sealed. And that's the commissioner of baseball, the guy who just caused all the problems with this lockout. This fucking asshole. I hate this guy. Bozo Bob.
Said they're gonna
So
redact all the
they
names.
have to redact a bunch of shit. But it went to an appeals court. And the judge, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Judge Circuit, Judge Deborah Ann Livingston wrote the following as part of her opinion on Monday. Says, in light of the plaintiff's attempted use of the letter and the proposed Second Amendment complaint of the district court's discussion of the letter explaining its decision to deny plaintiffs' request to leave to amend their reconsideration motion, and because MLB disclosed a substantial portion of the substance of the letter in its press release about the investigation, we conclude that the court district did not abuse its discretion in unsealing the letter, subject to redacting the names of certain individuals. So they're saying that because the MLB already showed some of this letter in a press release, that they're not going too far by saying, "Hey, let them read the rest of it," because that just means what did the MLB say in that letter? Because if the MLB showed it, they didn't show what they said. Is what I'm assuming is going to be more shocking than anything about the Yankees. But this was 2 days ago that this was ruled, and they still haven't. It hasn't come out yet, so they haven't redacted
And
it.
no one's gonna get fucking suspended or anything.
Oh,
Bullshit.
so that's
Whatever.
it's a big wild thing. I think it's going to be like, I don't know. I got a feeling it's going to have to do with Manfred. Manfred's going to be involved. I wonder when he's going to resign.
I don't know, dude. Yeah, I mean,
When's he retire? When does he retire? He's got to go. I'm done with him.
I wonder like what the owners think of him, how much they like him.
They probably love that dude with every fiber in their being. That's our man, Bozo Bob. If he can't do it, no one can. That's Bozo Bob. He's out there fucking clowning on him again. Look at him go. That's the owners. Just sitting up there with their pinkies out and shit. Like, we just sick Bozo Bob on them players. He just goes and fucking clowns
Terrible.
around on them. Yeah. Outrageous. Outrageous. You know what else is outrageous? Do you?
Everything.
Yeah, it's probably true. So, in our Facebook group today, in the Underground Case Breaks Facebook group, I made a post today about the podcast. I'm like, hey, it's podcast night, so everybody knows. And I asked, I said, what do you guys want to, anybody have any questions? Anybody want to talk anything? The Yankees letter was the biggest thing that I got for sure. And we don't have anything yet. We'll talk about it when we know. We'll clean that up, clear it up, wrap it up. But it is coming to light. They're just going to black out all the names of everybody, particularly. So I don't know what we're going to find out. Then Ryan Mountcastle, he's heating up. That's just an inside joke. And the Dodgers lineup, we talked about lineups today. And then, of course, the one thing that did come up was the old in the wide world of sports, we got the old swimmer, the swimmer Pav. What's his name? You know what I mean?
Listen. I'll call her a her. I don't give a fuck. But the reality, Thomas, right? Leah Thomas.
I see. No, no, no. See, I'm sorry. So hang on. I gotta pause this right now before you get fired up. I was gonna start with him as a boy before we transition to it. So I wasn't purposefully calling her a him. We just
I,
hadn't
I,
gotten to the transformation part yet.
it's it's you know
Sorry. We
no,
gotta cover
you're
all the
good.
bases so they can't cancel us. That's all. That's all
It
that is.
definitely doesn't offend me if you call me a she. I don't give a fuck.
I just
But
gotta.
you know,
I feel
it's
like I have to say that before the lawyers and shit. All that. It's not what I said. So go ahead, Pav. Go ahead. Tell us.
hey, listen, I have a solution. I have a solution because I know this is like there's people on both. Listen, the reality is that there's a small amount of people on one side of this, okay, and then there's a much larger majority on the other side that believes that she shouldn't be allowed to compete. And now there are governing agencies in the different areas that say you can't compete in female sports until you've been on hormones for 3 years. Okay. So I think that's a huge issue is that the transition was so quick to go from the male sport to the female sport and just say, okay, this person is obviously uh, still not balanced to what a normal female hormones are. So, but listen, I have a solution for this, okay? And it's this simple. Just do away with women's sports. Nobody fucking cares anyway. Just do away with women's sports, okay? And listen, I'm gonna be real nice about this. Do away with women's sports, and but do away with men's sports in the sense that they're men only. Okay, so women can get into men's sports if they're good enough.
Well,
Okay,
sure.
and I think
That's. I mean, that's how you've seen that with football and stuff.
right. So like this Leah Thomas, she won the one event, right? But in the grand scheme of things, Dent wasn't number one male swimmer, so wouldn't have won that event if males were involved. Now there are other events where she was, placed like eighth and 10th or whatever. So you have females that are better than her in those respective sports. There is a chance that some of those females would, be amongst the top 50 of maybe the top men. Not at the top. Obviously, that's just going to be men because we're far superior in our athletic abilities. But you're going to have men at the top, and what would happen? Okay, is women would get then they would get pissed, and they would stand up for themselves and say, okay, this is enough. We need our own sports again. And we would get back to having women's sports filled by women. And that would be their sport thing again. But I don't think the big thing is, I think like the governing agency right now that is setting up that the mandatory 3 years of hormones, I think that's where we're going to see those things push. So I think it's pretty asinine to have allowed Leah Thomas to go straight from male sports 1 year to female sports the very next year. I think that's where the big mistake was. I think this governing agency is really going to set a precedent of the 3 years of hormones. I think when that happens, then you start seeing actual muscle loss on someone's frame like Leah Thomas, where we haven't seen the muscle loss that we'd expect from, a hormone push like that. So I think that's what's going to end up happening. But hey, I got a solution, and doing away with women's sports is the start of how to fix this problem.
Well, here's all you need to know about this entire situation. This is not my opinion, and I have not said anything in regards to the subject whatsoever. I've said nothing, but I will tell you, Caitlyn Jenner said Leah Thomas is not the rightful NCAA women's champion. Now, if anyone doesn't know, Caitlyn Jenner used to be a guy named Bruce Jenner, and that guy won some medals there at the old Olympics as a dude.
Was
So
a top male perform right. So
as a dude, a full fledged biological male. And he said, Leah Thomas is not. He said she has a bigger cardiovascular system, she's got a bigger respiratory system. It's just genetically a bigger, even this person who has undergone the same thing that this other person has undergone said, hey, this isn't, even this person says, hey, this isn't necessarily right. Like we understand, there's some big differences there. So that's all I wanted to say. It was just on the list of things to talk about, and you covered it. That's Pav Daddy.
you guys could beat me up about it. I don't give a shit.
Hell yeah,
I'm good for it, man. I gotta listen to people's crazy shit all the time. You can give me your crazy stuff. I'm being realistic.
Well,
I am for equality. Equality in the truest sense of the form is one league with no barrier, and the end result would be all male. I'm just saying.
I know.
I'm just saying that's
we can't have then I can't watch combat sports.
no. I get it.
I can't
get
watch
it.
the UFC no more. I'm not
Right,
no way.
right. But you don't see like there's not a chance in hell that Dana White would allow a male an MMA fighter, right?
Yes.
He would not allow one to transition that quickly and fight. It just wouldn't happen. And especially a sport like that, a combat sport. And like, could you imagine if because there are female football teams, okay? If a fucking male football player that was like a linebacker, right? A guy that was built to play like linebacker decides to transition and immediately goes from like a college football team to a female football team and fucking blasted some chick playing quarterback or something, I don't
the way it's going, that's what it's gonna have to take. I guess that's where I finally break my silence on the subject. But it's gonna have to, unfortunately, take something like that before people finally say, "Hey, you have to stop living in this fucking fantasy world now." And there's certain things that you can't change whether you want to or not, and you have to keep those things separate for fucking safety's sake. Like it's that simple. Like the females that have had the opportunities to play football have played kicker. Like I'm not talking shit about that at all. That's incredible. If you can kick a football as good as anybody else, you deserve that opportunity. But you're not going one-on-one, and I don't want to see that. I don't want to see you block someone. I don't want to see someone block you. I don't want to see you tackle. And I don't want to see that. Like, because the outcome could be just horrific. And I don't think anybody needs to see that. Period. Like, that's the same thing with like combat sports. I don't want to see that. Because there's plenty of ladies and men right now that weigh the same exact weight, and they could match them up right now. I don't want to watch that. No fucking way. Not me. I know that that's not a fair, you know what I mean? Like, it's not. I'm not saying anything mean either. It's not. That's the end of it. I'm done with it. I'm done with the topic.
Yeah. So like,
but I agree. I want everybody to be happy and free and equal and all of that shit. But
here's a note. Okay. So, Leah Thomas's time for the 500 freestyle is over 15 seconds slower than her personal best before medically transitioning. So this is where I'd have to look it up, but I know there was a governing agency that they are putting in rules that they're going to require 3 years of uh, hormone therapy
That's crazy.
before.
15
But
seconds slower, you said?
right, so this is after a year. So like after 3 years, I wonder if the competitive balance is closer. But I think that's something that a lot of leagues are going to start looking at and say, okay, maybe this is the the guide that we're going to kind of base our stuff off of. But I think that's where everybody will end up pushing, is doing something like that where they require 3 years.
Yeah, I don't. I listen. You're born structurally, you know what I mean? A little. I don't. I don't. I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. And I only say that out of safety, like literally. And it's and something like swimming or something. It's just literally not fair. If your hands are bigger than every other female's hands, you could literally push more water. Like that means you go faster, right? I would have to think. I don't know. We're still talking about it. So we're done talking about it. Here we are. What else do we have, man? What else do we have? Like next week, for everybody still listening, I would like to do, if Pav wants to do it, I would like to do like preseason predictions on the show next week. Doesn't have to be crazy in depth, just who we like for the division winners and maybe what we think could happen in the postseason, and then we can hold ourselves accountable in the fall, and you guys can all make fun of us when we're terribly wrong. But it's just something we could do. And next week is our last show before the regular season. So baseball's coming. Baseball's actually it starts on Thursday, right? It starts on the 7th. So actually we have 2 more shows. We'll be doing a show the night before. The night before opening day. 'Twas the night before opening day. Ooh. It's gonna
I
be
mean,
good.
we can, yeah.
Yeah. If you guys want us to do anything else on the show, hit us up at UG Runaround Pod on Twitter and tell us what you want us to talk about. We'll figure it out. O'Neal Cruz for the Pirates is one guy I wanted to talk about just for the spring training he's having. He's got a couple of home runs. The Pirates people I
Dude,
talked to say he's not going to make the squad, and it sounds like service time, basically, because the
yeah,
Pirates are not
stud.
competitive. But yeah, O'Neal Cruz appears to be the real deal. And it sounds like the Pirates are going to hold him back because they're just in no place to start burning up his service time. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I said I'd like the service time to start once you're in the organization.
Here's my question, okay? Where is he going to play in the majors? Is he going to play third base?
I don't know.
You see, he was a shortstop, right?
Yeah.
He's 6'7".
Yeah, he's tall. He's taller than shit.
He's 6'7"
I
and fucking playing shortstop,
I thought he
dude.
was six
That's
foot
the thing
four.
that 6'7". That was the thing that immediately jumped out at me. It was like, holy fuck, dude, he's tall. I watched him. He is playing spring training. So if you
Yeah,
guys
yeah, he's
watch a
crushing it.
Pirates game, you can fucking see him play. But he is tall as fuck. You see him when he comes up the bat, dude, and it like, I don't know, man. The idea of that guy, that'd have to be probably the tallest shortstop in history, right? If somebody went out there and was playing
I
at
think
6'7".
I remember him making his debut last year because he did play some shortstop in the big leagues last year, and he had 68 at bats, and I remember them saying something about that, him being how tall he was. Now that we're talking about it, but he's having a really good spring. Although, like we said, the sample sizes are so small, we really can't even talk about it. We'll talk more about spring stats next week and the week after. We'll have more to look at, but you always have to remember too, man. The spring training stats don't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. They don't put W's in the win column. They don't put stats in your career totals. Their players could be working on their swings. The pitchers could be working on a specific pitch, throwing the same pitch over and over. You don't know. It's spring training. It's exhibition games. They're dialing it in for themselves. So some guys that
Um,
have, some guys that kill it, it could be nothing. And
how
some,
fucking amazing is the Dominican Republic, dude?
what do you mean?
You
Just
got
in terms of the talent?
yeah,
Oh,
and
it's
you're a
incredible.
small nation. Oh my
But
gosh, dude.
David Ortiz said that's baseball is people's way out of the Dominican Republic. They literally they have so much heritage culture tied into the game of baseball that the great ones they've had before them are back there probably teaching all the young ones, giving a gift. That's the gift of baseball. That's why people love to coach, because you get to give back. So those people go back to the Dominican Republic after they're done playing, and they teach all these kids, hey, you want to live a good life, you want to make some money, you want to not have to kill yourself and not have to work hard, like not work hard, but not physically work hard. Like, you want to go play a game for a living. It's a fucking, I know it sounds crazy. Check this out. Get really good at hitting this baseball and throwing this ball to first base or catching this fly ball, and you could make $1 million. So
Did you
just
see
have
the
an
story
absolute
that came
pipeline.
out about David Ortiz? Like
So
they're saying this kingpin was
yeah,
the one that put out the hit, and it
and
was for Ortiz.
yeah, and they were friends.
Yeah,
But yet Ortiz is
dude.
a media darling, failed a steroid test, and the first ballot Hall of Famer.
Fucking, it's pretty wild,
And
dude.
for the record, I like Big Poppy. I'm not talking shit. I'm just saying, isn't that funny?
Dude, they like the private investigator and stuff that actually put together the report said like it wasn't even anything to do with like anything bad that Ortiz was doing, that this guy was just fucking crazy.
Yeah, said he felt disrespected about something. I don't. I
Yeah,
I remember reading it.
I don't know, man. Terrible. But they busted the guy, so now he's gonna go away, be in prison for a while.
Be all right. And other. Oh man, we've already gotten. No, we can't. I can't. I can't. We can't. We're not news. We're not news, Pav. We're not news
Albert
anchors.
Pujols,
What about?
Adrian Beltre, Pedro Martinez, Robinson Cano, Manny Ramirez, Juan Marichal, Vlad Guerrero, Sosa, Ortiz, Cesar Cedeno,
Who are top
Miguel
home run
Tejada,
hitters that are not in the Hall of Fame or Dominican
Nelson.
Republic?
This is all
Yeah.
Dominican. Dude, they
Yeah.
fucking, when you think about how small that fucking place is,
Yeah.
it's
No.
amazing the talent they churn out.
Yeah.
Wild, dude.
It's amazing they don't have like their own, like, what's their population? What's the population of?
Just under 11 million.
That would be enough, you would think, to field some sort of. They have a baseball league, yeah?
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like, that would be
I, I,
enough
I
to
like,
field a very quality deal.
yeah.
Obviously, they're just not going to make a ton of money there because there's only 11 million people. You know what I mean?
When I went to like the Republic of Panama, they have their own league and stuff there too. In fact, what happens is a lot of the major league teams have fucking programs, right, that they run
Just to
down
help,
there.
right?
So I mean, they're putting a lot of funding in down there, and they're building these kids from when they're young, super young. So I guess that plays a whole big part of it. Where all of a sudden, I'm sorry to say this, but in the United States, you have to go to school
Yep.
and you
No.
have to go through these steps. And like you look at like Bryce Harper, he did his GED thing and went to JUCO so that he could get drafted younger. So like when you think about what they are able to do in those nations down there, it gives them an ability to, have this kid focus as much on baseball as we have to focus on our schoolwork. So it's you can understand how they can build up these players, but
Yeah,
hey,
if they get 10 times the
it's an
amount of
opportunity.
reps,
Yeah.
just based on volume alone, they have 10 times the opportunity to be better.
Yeah, the weather's always warm there, so you can play all year.
Mm.
There's a lot of advantages. I mean, you see that advantage in the U.S., right? So many more baseball players come from California, Texas, Florida, just because they can play all year. They don't have to
Right.
have that downtime that people have in the northern states and stuff. So,
It's starting to change, but that's just because the northern people are starting to be able to get access to facilities, and that's one good thing about travel ball. I'm not the world's biggest fan of fucking 8U baseball, where it's, I don't think an 8-year-old kid needs to be that that financially tied into fucking competition. I think that's just parents' ego shit at that point, but I could be wrong. They still say some of the most successful athletes are still multi-sport athletes. It's not these kids that are specialized, and you got to let them do everything. But I really don't know where I was going with that. I just fucking started talking shit about specialization, and I don't know where we were going with that point, but I'm sure we'll get back to it. I have nothing else to say, Pav, and I need some help right now.
so I think with the even like when you look at the multi-sport stuff with those kids, I still think the majority of the top tier talents coming out of like AAU programs, and they're playing AAU baseball and AAU basketball or something, where okay, so they're multi-sport, but they're still
Sure.
playing with those kind of travel teams.
Yeah.
I think it's destroying Little League. I think like we're seeing such a fucking. I think we're seeing the death of Little League baseball pretty
Yeah, yeah.
rapidly.
It's gone. I mean, it hasn't said RIP yet, but it's gone. It's gone
How
because
many
of that.
how many teams do they have in Hobart now?
A few years ago when I was helping coach, they had like 6 teams basically per age
For like
group.
Major League?
Yeah, per like age group, every different group.
That's decent.
When I played little league in our, just for the record, this isn't a bragging anything. The first year on the big field, Hobart, Indiana, we won the state title and went to the regional tournament and shit like that for little league. And I think we had 7 teams to pool our all-star team from, that like we represent, so from our entire little league we had like 7 teams, but
Yeah.
it was our whole all-star team was only 2 teams. I don't know how 2 teams got so fucking loaded. It was my first year in the town, so nobody knew me, so I understood kind of. It was my first year ever playing baseball, so I understood how I ended up on a good team. I was just like a bonus for them. Like, oh, hey, this kid fucking, we don't know him, but he knows how to play baseball. Like, I didn't even know how to hold a bat, dude. I didn't know how to properly hold a bat because nobody ever taught me. So, like, I was always used to throwing the ball up to myself and hitting it. So I go from that to my first ever time playing baseball. I win a state championship. So that was pretty cool. Like, is this what we do every time we play baseball? We just
Yeah, no
fucking
shit.
steamroll everybody. Like, we routed everyone. Like, we probably 10-run ruled the state championship game. Like, we fucking destroyed everybody until we got into the regional tournament, and then it got like closer games, and then we lost on ego. If I'm being transparent, father son pitcher ego thing. We had a kid that threw in the 90s as a incoming freshman, like just an absolute freak of nature. We had and they chose to pitch a different route to get us to the next game, but you have to win this game before it's just trying to play the strategy game. It didn't work out for us. But that was my first time. But I like held the bat flat in my hands like this because I didn't I didn't know none of that shit. I still ended up being all right at college, so that was
Swinging a golf club.
it's cool. Yeah, yeah, pretty much that, or yeah, just fucking throw the ball. I didn't. whatever. I lived in the country for most of it, so I had like a big field, so I could be at my house and throw a baseball up. The worst baseballs ever, all waterlogged and shit. Like, how come they don't go
Yeah,
anymore? Ha!
flat on one side.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I think like Lake Station when I was younger, we had maybe five teams in like the major league group from 10 to 12. And then I think now that they might be travel only because
Yeah,
they've gotten down to like where they only have two teams.
yeah. That they're like, I don't know all the specifics, but I know they let teams like towns consolidate into teams.
Yeah.
Like Portage is, for anyone who doesn't know, in Northwest Indiana. Hobart's a decent sized town, like 35,000, something like that. Lake Station's smaller. Portage is one of the bigger cities in the state, and their little league, it borders Hobart to the east, and its little league property, the city sold it. So that was one of the biggest little leagues in our area, and it's done, closed up, and over with, gone.
Yeah. They really fucked that up over there. I understand.
And they
So
were letting Portage kids come play at Hobart or whatever if they wanted to. That was like the thing. Like if you want to play little league baseball, you can, but now you don't have it in your own town anymore. You have to go to a neighboring town.
they might have had two in Lake Station this last year.
But
I can't remember. Everything's fucked up. That's what
honestly,
I'm saying. It's about that, dude.
that's my issue with the travel ball though that I was bitching about earlier. Is I was helping coach the the year before they go on to big field. So the 8 and 9 year old kids, or the 9 and 10 year old, whatever that age cutoff is, before they go to the major field, which is where the Little League World Series is and all that. It's the same size field. It's just the kids are a little bit more grown, and these kids are all playing travel ball though. Like they had like 6 teams, but they're like, yeah, look, the guy I'm coaching with, he's like, yeah, these three, those two, and these guys, they all play, travel in the summer. He's like, and this is the last year we're doing Little League. So essentially, once these kids start playing travel ball at the age of like 9 or 10, there's no longer Little League serves no purpose. I mean, you're basically going to use Little League for T-ball and coach pitch, or fucking, you know what I mean? Like after that, it's start ponying up money for all this travel ball bullshit. And I don't think you need that. I don't think you need travel ball until you play on a full size fucking field. Like once you're an adult, like
I can see a lot more towns end up pushing the Babe Ruth League
is
with
that
like
still is
Cal
that
Ripken and
still a
stuff.
thing? I didn't even
Oh
know
yeah.
if that was still going on.
Yep. Yep.
But yeah, I mean it's just those types of institutions that we're used to. Those are just a thing in the past. Because anybody who recognizes any sort of talent in anyone's going to be like, "Hey, have you thought about this?" Or like, "Hey, like they like recruit people. Like, hey, we need talent for a travel team. Like, you can play on this travel team." And then it's off from there. So the community, the community based types of programs and things like that, it's gone. Now it's, do you want to be a competitor or not? Do you like? There's no opportunity to find out if that's what you want to do. I guess think of how many kids you played little league with, and then think of how many kids you played high school sports with. I played, I played little league with a ton of kids that I never played with in high school, and I was friends with all of them. Like, they tried, and then once it got like to the part where it was serious, they didn't want to do it anymore, and that's fine. But they had the opportunity to do that, and they can say they actually played a team sport, and they learned some ups and downs and things like that, and got the experience. And now that's not going to exist a lot of places if you lose those types of, if you lose little league and shit like that, because it's going to be, hey, you got to spend all this money and play travel ball and fucking practice 6 nights a week and do this and that and be there and go to this hotel and have travel to this and do that, and or you don't even get to play baseball. Or that's
Right.
that's what the issue would be when it comes down to that, because everybody should get the opportunity to play baseball or any sport, anything. It shouldn't be that serious right from the jump. They're fucking kids. They're kids. Let them be kids. You don't need to live vicariously through an 8 year old fucking travel ball where they still can barely hit line drives out of the infield. You know, like the best eight U kids can maybe hit one in the air out of the infield. Like, don't give me all this. It's
Yeah, it's
fucking life or
pretty
death shit.
interesting. Yeah, like the reality is that even going into uh, after guys are drafted, you look at guys that are drafted, and they might not uh, be very fucking good in pro baseball. And like these top rounders, you know, you might have guys drafted in the first to fourth round that you never see do anything worth a while. Just absolutely dumpster fucking trash.
Yeah,
And then you have guys that are drafted. Now we're limited to 20 rounds, but you have guys drafted late in those late rounds that,
I
you
love
know,
that we have more
show up
rounds
to the
again.
fucking, yeah, show up to the major leagues or show up to the minors and advance really quickly. So it's pretty, baseball is one of those things that you can't say, okay, this guy's going to be the top guy when it
Yeah,
comes down to it. Especially like when you think about pitching, I don't fucking care how good you are. Do you throw fucking hard? And that's what it becomes, especially as you get older. Is do you throw hard? Because you can throw strikes all day, but if you're only throwing 75, there is going to be a time when everybody's going to smoke your shit. So if you're if you're not getting where you throw harder, and that's the thing, you see guys that might have a big jump in velocity just within a few years of growth in their teenage years. So maybe they weren't this fucking travel ball top talent kid all through them young years, and all of a sudden he's throwing fucking harder than your kid you spent all that money on, because guess what? He has natural fucking talent that developed when he went through this growth spurt, and he just throws harder. It just fucking happens. So it's one of those things, you know.
that is true. That is
Yeah,
true. There is that natural ability thing.
I dude, it just happens. So I mean, I understand that like you are giving your kid an advantage if you're doing all that training, that if they do have natural talent, you know, maybe I think the biggest thing, right, is that maybe you get them to go play college ball somewhere, or you get them to get noticed and get drafted. But at the same time, there was I'm gonna have to look this shit up now. There was a guy that created a bunch of like fake statistics and stuff for his name and ended up getting drafted. What the fuck?
That's amazing.
I swear to God, dude. And nobody saw him play or anything, but they just went based off of
Right. They're like, this
these.
guy's still available, and these are the numbers we're looking at.
He started making fake profiles everywhere, and like had fake fucking scouting assessments and stuff, and was able to get himself drafted. And it was, you know, he came out and was like, hey, look, I can't fucking play. I just wanted to see, you know.
Gotcha, bitch.
Yeah.
Boo. Oh my goodness. That's funny. That's hilarious. You got it. This better be true, or I'm
I
just. This is
dude,
good,
it's
or this clip will be the whole episode. I gotta know.
God, it was a long time ago, dude.
You have to give me a full report next week. A whole
Okay.
1 hour special. I need to know everything about this
I'll
genius.
find it, dude. I will find it.
It'd be incredible.
I know it's true.
I'm sure it's happened. It wouldn't surprise me because that's why
Uh,
they tried and shortened the draft and then they took it down to 5 rounds, and I think that's not enough rounds. I really don't. 20 is a good number because that allows you to have some guys that fall through the cracks still get drafted and get the opportunity. Because you do see it after a certain point that most of the guys that get drafted just elect to go to college, and then there are a few that are like, hey, I got drafted, I want to go play pro ball right now, like, let's go. And then some of those, most of them don't pan out, don't get me wrong, but some of them do. Some of them blossom and develop, and it happens. And now you'll get to see that again, hopefully down the road, that you wouldn't see with these 5 round draft classes. Find the story yet, Pav?
no, dude.
Yeah, gone
I'm gonna get it
in
though.
the wind. I hope so. I hope so. Hopefully next week we're gonna have our newsman back, our buddy Brett Common Soley.
I
He's
miss him.
me too. He's spring breaking in Myrtle Beach, baby. Spring breaking. We do know. I can tell you that I don't know when the Wander auction will take place. We don't know yet, but it did get an 8 from PSA, so the card graded an 8. That's what we thought. Now it's just a matter of time before Brett gets paid, son, and I'm fucking pumped for him. So, we'll keep you updated with Wander Mania 2022 as best we can. And next week, exactly 1 week from today, Topps Inception comes out, and it's very expensive. So, I don't know. I found out today I'm only getting half a case allocated, so I was very surprised. I don't understand the business anymore. Or I don't know. I don't know. So I'll see what I can do about getting more, but it doesn't look good. But baseball releases, as far as the hobby goes, will start picking up here once we get rolling here into April. It's been an unusually slow year, even though baseball hasn't started. You usually see stuff like Gypsy Queen. Sometimes Tribute comes out early. We still haven't gotten Bowman Heritage. 2021 Topps Update Sapphire came out today, like on a surprise drop from two yesterday. They told us about it, so they're still trying to clear their backlog. The whole hobby's backed up right now. Like, let it breathe. Like, they're trying so hard to do so much. Like, let this shit breathe, because you're suffocating people at these prices right now. It's like they're almost doing too much.
Well,
Like, I
I
get they're
wonder
trying to
when,
push
like,
the expansion and grow and thrive, and I don't know.
when does Fanatics actually take over
They already bought them,
Topps?
so
Has that actually, like, usually that takes
I
even
don't know.
after?
Yeah, I don't know if it's I don't know if it's all legally finished.
Yeah, because they could be trying to, like, cash out as much as that shit before.
But not just them, like everybody, Panini, everyone. All these new companies popping up. Wild Card is the new manufacturer of cards that I've heard recently. So it's just everybody's just trying to flood the space. The fucking Gary V friend things. See those fucking deals?
No.
They're like, I don't know, because I'm not the world's biggest Gary Vaynerchuk fan. I like the guy the more I listen to him. I will admit that, but I just don't like him because he didn't like Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan was better than his shitty Knicks. So that's my that's my professional beef with Vaynerchuk. But I think he made some NFTs. I could be totally wrong, but then they put these NFTs onto trading cards, and then
Mm-hmm.
did a reverse Dutch auction to sell the boxes. And then there's people showing that all these singles have been getting shilled up like crazy as a big cash grab. I don't know if that's true or not. Like, blow feedback and similar accounts bidding up cards, all sorts of shit. I don't know if it's true, but my thing is, if I'm correct in the fact that these are actual trading cards of NFTs, what in the fuck are we doing? Why do you even have NFT? That's one step too far. What the fuck what are you doing? Fucking going in circles here? you ran out of shit to make for sports cards, so now you're just making like what are we just fascinated with the rectangular shape? Is that what it is? Everything has to be this now? This is as big as anything can be and it has to be this. So if it's an NFT, if it's a movie poster, if it's a baseball card, if it's a picture, whatever, it's got to be that. Like just make anything.
Eventually, new money will dry up, and then that stuff will really start crashing.
I don't, and I don't think that that's what it is, but like, or that's, I don't think that's, I'm not saying that's what I want, but like, I don't understand that at all. Like, who's the demographic for that? Is Vaynerchuk literally that big of an individual with that much influence over people that he can, whatever the fuck he just did, and I mean, he did it, so he is, but I don't even understand what just happened. But it's wild, dude. V Friends is what it's called. VEE Friends. And I'm not talking shit. I don't understand. That's all I'm saying. I don't understand. I didn't realize that guy was that fucking popular. That's crazy. That he just decided, like, oh, here I am. I want my own cards of, like, a fish and some other goofy ass shit. Like, cool. I mean, whatever. Maybe they're neat, but, like, how do they command any money? What makes them financially valuable? Or like, you know what I mean? Like to me, that's like it's cool. Whatever the production cost, that's what it's worth. Like whatever your material's worth, like that's all it's worth to me.
So he's got it. So like, if you have this NFT, this token is verifiable for admission to VCon 2023 and 2024.
Yeah, but what the fuck is VCon? Like, is he that big of a dude? He gets his own fucking convention.
Isn't
That's
that funny?
at what point does that get into like weirdo shit? Like idolize it, like I don't know. You don't see Joe Rogan having a fucking Joe Rogan con. Shout out to Joe Rogan, by the way. You know what I mean? Like he's a big person. Like probably the one of the biggest people, ironically. I don't know if that's ironic, but he's bigger than most of the media outlets and things like that. And he's not a media outlet. You know, he's just a dude who talks to people.
Yeah.
But he doesn't go out and have conventions like Worship Rogan Con and you don't have to have this NFT of my creation. You know, like it's weird. At a certain point, it gets weird to me. Why do you want people to obsess over you? Like people obsess over Gary Vee, I bet. Like I gotta get his NFT. I gotta get his fucking fish card with his autograph on it, and I gotta go to VCon, man. I gotta, there's whoa,
As
it's
long
not
as
that
they got money.
serious. I know what's that about, dude. It's not that serious. It's just sports cards. I like sports cards because I love sports. Like, when did it get all weird? Why is it getting weird on me? Or am I just a dinosaur? What's happening? Sports, man. Sports. And I like the physical ones. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
I have
But
no clue.
some strange let it out, man. It's some strange shit. Just some strange shit. But the thing is, I'm not accusing anyone of anything, but there's severe shilling accusations on that shit too. So it's like, damn, are you just fucking people at this point? Like, don't fuck people. I love the hobby. So don't bring your fuckery into it. Like, I'm very untrusting of everything. So
I
it
think
crosses
all
my mind.
NFTs are basically money grabs, right? And like you see the people that create them, and they'll be like, I didn't know. I this is like the 10th NFT I've made, and all these other ones weren't worth anything, and then these ones started selling for money, and now I've made money, and it's like, well, what did you do? I don't know what I did different, and all of a sudden they just got hyped, right? So there's no true backbone to why this one is worth more than
Right.
this one,
Right.
and like they weren't somebody that was well respected in a certain area of anything. They just got lucky. So it's interesting. It's very luck based oriented shit. And like look, One of our mutual friends, Dalen, he was just telling me that he started with like $450 and he's up, over like 10 grand and he's flipping these fucking NFTs. And I'm like, dude, so when do you cash out? Because
Yeah.
if you don't cash out at the right time, eventually you're not going to be up fucking 10 grand anymore. So it's, um, it's tough. It's tough. I don't like to play that game. I play a different game, and it's fucking tough enough.
Yeah.
it's it's tough enough trying to play the stock market or anything right now. Fucking the stocks that I pick, the company's doing fucking great, doing excellent. Their earnings just came out, fucking great numbers. Everything looks great. They're buying these other companies. Don't fucking matter. Stock goes down like crazy. It does, you know.
Right.
People don't fucking care unless they can hype it up, and that's even, like the reality is, like, you look at like Tesla, right, and their stock is too high, and it's as high as it is based on these people pushing it with hype and stuff because they can't sell enough cars to have the fundamental revenue numbers and income and all that to justify the stock value that where that puts their company value at. They don't have the income to be valued that high, but it doesn't matter because if you have the stock and somebody else wants the stock, then you dictate the price that
Right.
stock sells for. So
Absolutely.
it's become a very tough market to try and play that kind of way.
The same thing with sports cards too, though. Like
Oh yeah,
people don't understand like frequency. I think maybe is the word I want to use. Like people aren't as educated as you or I am in terms of just the hobby in general, but then you have like the average Joe and they might not understand that people buy and sell just like they would stocks. And just because something sold for $30 doesn't mean you'll ever get one again for $30.
right.
And they're like,
Or
well,
ever be able to sell one again for thirty
right,
dollars.
yeah, right. It could be $5 in a day.
Yeah,
The volatility is there, but people think like, okay, so this card sold one time 4 months ago for $30. I want $30 for it. Well, no, like 2 days ago, it sold for. You know what? Forget it. No, it hasn't sold again. There was
the
one
guy
comp.
broke his leg.
There was
He
one
fucking broke his leg.
one.
That
Well,
not.
no, no, no. Here it is. It's a base card, and it sold one time 4 months ago for
Yeah,
$30. Like there's no
yeah,
demand there. Like no,
yeah.
that I'm not. You want $30 for that card? I'm not giving it to you. Well, that's what it's worth. No, it's not. To one guy 4 months ago, it was worth $30.
Right.
Not to me. Now, if that card sells 15 times a day for $30, and you can see that, like, hey, this card's selling every day for this price for a week straight. It's been selling for $30 to $35. Yeah, okay, cool. I'll buy a card from you for $30, or I'll sell it to you for $30. Cool, whatever. But some people, like, hey, I saw this number one time. That's what it is now, forever. They don't understand, like, hey, these things change. Just because you can't find a new number for the exact same thing you have doesn't mean that the situation or the circumstance didn't change. So that's what makes it hard too to try and play the game of flipping anything in the singles market.
Definitely. That's I
In
mean,
terms of
when you
short term
think
flips
about
anyway. I think my long term shit is just fucking phenomenal.
right, and even you think about like the limited availability of certain cards and a card selling for $30 4 months ago and not another one selling in that time frame. If that player got hot or something, that card could be $150 five times just because it doesn't exist anywhere. That's why you haven't seen it sell. So I mean, when you think about like the most valuable card, I think that could be sold right now. We haven't seen sold in years, and years. And I don't know when we'll see one. But I would say that the 52 tops Mickey
Mantle.
Mantle PSA 10 has to be the most valuable card available. Not available though, but in existence right now has to be. 3 of them exist, but we haven't seen them. They haven't touched the market in years and years.
Does anyone know?
So,
Does anyone know who owns them?
I'm pretty sure they know.
PSA, you would
At
think
least 2 of them.
PSA, yeah. I don't know. That's crazy.
But I'm
yeah.
30 million. I'll bet they're around 30 million. I bet it would take like 30 million to buy one now. Given where the markets went and just that they don't exist. And it's like the fucking card. So I'm betting that's where it'd be now.
That's crazy. But I just think like what 30 million would do. Like 30 million, it's fucking insane. Like that's insane. But that somebody has that much money to spend on a baseball card is just a different level of insanity. Like
dude, 30, it could push more, you just never know. Right.
But like 30 million, I would hope my family never ran out of money. Like even after I was gone. Like you should never run out of money if you have $30 million. But if you have $30 million just laying around to spend, you know what I mean? Like on a fucking card because it's the card to have and you have the money to have it. Like holy shit. That's some next level fucking wealth right there, bud. Their $30, their 30 million is like our $100 or something, Like, oh here you go. Like what?
They had one of the PSA 10s at the All-Star game last year.
Oh snap! You know what? I think I saw it.
Yeah, I think you did.
Now that we're talking about that,
yeah. So that's
they
one
did have
only
all kind of cool
existence.
shit, and they had 2 stands set up on the concourse for like foul balls and stuff. Like they had one thing with like all game used signed shit, like not even just from Colorado people, like from everybody. They had Mike Trout game used signed stuff. It was crazy. Just on the concourse, these little pop up deals, like glass cases and everything. Like they had to wheel them out there. But it was pretty cool.
What do you think they have to pay just to rent that motherfucker to show it?
Oh my god, I don't know. Does it tell you?
No.
Oh.
But I mean, so like back in 2018, they brought it in an armored car to show it off. But I mean, you would, right? You'd throw 30 million in an armored car.
Yeah, what did 2 guys in an armored car make an hour?
Jesus.
What does an armored car driver make? I'm sure it's not enough, but you're paying for them guys at minimum and an armored car and whatever the dude who's letting you borrow it wants.
They had it at the National Sports Convention in 2018. And the card, this is the report back then. The card will be under armed security 24 hours a day.
I believe it.
Back then, valued at perhaps 10 million or more.
Oh, so
I'm sure it's way more.
50 million now at minimum.
Yeah, dude. 2021, a PSA 9 sold for 5 million. So it's just got to be insanely expensive now.
Oh yeah. Well, shit, dude. Do you got anything else, Pav?
No, I don't. I wish I did. We'll have more next week.
We have plenty this week.
We get to see some. Yeah,
we're still at 2 hours. We talk.
Yeah,
we
can run around. Our way through this.
We can get through these slow ones, baby. We've been doing it since the lockout started.
There's gonna be, one nice thing about like, the spring training this year is if you watch the games, they are playing. You're seeing the guys play. It's not this fucking buildup of seeing a bunch of nobodies for forever and ever until
Bellinger was in like the 7th inning the other day.
Yeah, they are absolutely playing. Uh, so I think too, like you're seeing a lot of the games where these guys are really actively trying to win the fucking games. So some of them are working on some things, and some of them are trying to win. So it's pretty interesting seeing that. So I think we'll have a lot to talk about next week when we start getting deeper and deeper into spring training and we get closer to the season. We can start saying, okay, this is where teams are going to be this year.
Yeah, for sure. I just want to look at something real quick before we get out of here. Um, how do I? Yeah, let's see if this still works. Okay, so this post. Oh wow. Okay, so I don't know. Let's see. So I saw a few things about HGA, the grading company.
Yeah.
Um, so they announced that they're now a selectable option on eBay. So like when you pick your cards graded, like their company's now approved as a recognizable company, but people are still just trashing them on Facebook. They're getting trashed like crazy. And they posted something today. Someone did about they haven't filled a quarter of their allocation spots in week because they only let you send so many cards a week. So think that they would help them catch up on orders. Nope, return time hasn't budged in 3 months. They're on the verge of bankruptcy. Now I don't know how you can say that or how this person can say that. I guarantee it is what they said. Cut losses and
I
just
wouldn't think so.
break anything out of these slabs. But I did go to their website just to look, and their submission numbers haven't changed since this post was made 3 hours ago. So don't take that for whatever you will. I don't know if it updates in real time, but they're still. I was trying to see when their submission resets, their weekly submission, because that would tell you how many cards they got this week. They've
It would be hard to go bankrupt as a company like that because your your whole structure is based on time, right? Like how long it takes to grade certain cards. So if you had a good average time of like it takes this long to grade a card, and we had this person makes this much per hour. I don't know. It just seems like if you put your price right for your grading service, it shouldn't be really a chance of going bankrupt. Most service companies you don't really see having an issue like that where they go bankrupt because they have too much uh, work.
well, I think the point is that they're still behind and they're not getting more work. They're not even filling up their limits on what they'll accept for a given week. So
Yeah.
that could spell disaster. Could. I don't know. I told you the more I it only caught the corner of my eye as we were browsing out of here or browsing around before we get out of here, and
Yep.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Their AI and all of that. Like I said, it's nothing that they did. It's what they didn't do to me, and it's I don't feel like they conveyed properly how they were going to do something that differentiated themselves from what other people were doing because other
Right.
people were tired of the inconsistent grading. So I don't know. I didn't mean I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. Just interesting that they might be struggling. Might be struggling to be something to keep an eye on. More than it's a story for us. That's all it is. Don't get offended out there, HGA fans. People love their labels. Good for you. I'm glad labels are the most important thing of getting your card graded. And I look forward to doing business with you fine folks down the road too, and we can discuss numbers and why we don't agree on them. But we can still be friends, though. That's the beautiful part about all of this. And that's what's great about the hobby. It really is. Let's close this up with something fucking positive because that is a beautiful thing. People that fanboy and would die on their shield for HGA, and I wouldn't do that. Uh, I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I wouldn't do that. We can still be friends, and we can still enjoy shit in the same hobby, and that's fucking awesome. Because there's just different stuff out there in the hobby space, and people don't like that it's a space and it's called the hobby, but that's why, because there's so many different things you can do. You have to use a blanket general term to encompass it all, because there's so many different types of things you could do with the sports cards, and you can include the sports cards people crossing over into trading cards, and the sports card people transitioning into grading, and the grading going into like different collectibles like maybe comics or coins. And then you got like the HGA people probably transition over into sneakers and cultural things like that. I'm not taking shots, but that's where it has that appeal. You got these flashy labels and this and that, and you can go over there and get some flashy footwear. I love shoes. I don't love shoes like sneaker people love shoes, though. I just like what's cool. But
Right.
that's what's great about it. There's different shit for everybody. So we don't have to like the same things. But if we do like similar things, bam, we're all friends in the hobby. So that's it. Thank you guys for checking it out, tuning in for another episode. We're gonna have more baseball news as we get it. Spring training's really just kicking off, getting underway. I think the most at bats any one person has is 15. So I mean the sample sizes aren't even worth talking about. Most pitchers have only run out there one time. And we'll have some more for you with some predictions. Probably more ideas on the final rosters. They are already sending people down the minor league camp, but those were people we expected to not stick around long anyway. With an abbreviated spring, they weren't going to be around very long to begin with. So, Pav, you got anything else before we get out of here?
That's it, buddy. Fuck Putin.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, guys. Everybody have a great night. We'll catch you later.
Peace.